After what seemed like an impossibly long winter, spring had finally arrived in the Appalachian Mountains. I couldn't wait to go back and do some of my old favorite trails, but this time with some fluorescent green ferns, moss, and newly budding tree leaves, adding some color and interest into what was a flat, dull winter scene just a few months ago. This scene in particular is the first one that I had in mind to visit. What I think works well about this scene is the sweeping motion of the creek through the center of the frame, the small, tiny sapling with new spring leaves to the left in the foreground, and the one sapling in the back, sitting between two trees, creating a bit of a frame around that sapling off in the distance. This is also a scene where a polarizer makes an enormous difference. As I rotate it, you can see how much it cuts the glare. There was also a slight breeze, moving these leaves in the foreground, so I decided to up the ISO to 800, making sure that everything in this scene was sharp from front to back. There's something meditative about hiking on cool, rainy spring days in the woods. Well, right behind me over this way is a scene that I've been trying to photograph for at least the last year, and it never seems to work out. There's always something slightly off with either the light or the scenery that it just doesn't seem like it'll end up being the image that I hope for. So if you look back this way, and I'll crop in the video so you can see what I'm looking at more closely, but it's this really interesting formation where a tree fell over, and then there's a stump that's growing up, twisting up into new saplings growing out of the fallen tree. And no matter what, there's always something that just doesn't quite make it the image that I'm hoping for. And today, if you look right here and over here, there's just some bright spots poking through from what must be a clearing further over into the forest, and I think it's a little bit distracting from the overall scene. So I'm going to take another image just to test and compare it to the last time I was here photographing this scene, but it feels like it needs something a little bit extra to really make the whole image come together. And I don't know if that is the time of day, maybe if this section will illuminate at certain times of day and leave the back in shadow. Or maybe if there's a morning with really heavy fog, I can come up and it will blanket some of the noise behind this scene and really make this subject right here stand out more clearly. So I'm just going to grab this image quickly with my R5 and then keep on hiking up the trail. When I opened this photo in Lightroom, I was pleasantly surprised to see just how well it turned out. While I still don't like the bright spots of the background, I think it looks much better than the same photo that I took of this scene in the winter. A little bit of fog that helps to separate this tree stump from the background might make it the image that I've envisioned. For now, this photo remains elusive. Well, I'm not sure how this image will look with this bend in the creek behind me, but I really like the way that there's a double or triple curve to the way that the creek is flowing. And then there's one sapling on this little miniature peninsula with a bed of ferns beneath it, and then one small tiny sapling all the way in the back. And the way that the creek is winding through the scene, it leads the eye right to that small sapling. So I'm waiting for a break in the wind because at f11 this is going to end up being a 4 or 5 second exposure, which will give the water in the creek that smooth, silky look. But at the same time, it's difficult trying to balance and guess when there's going to be absolutely no wind, or else I'm going to get motion blur in the leaves and the ferns. So I am holding tight for this minute and going to wait for a break in the wind to grab this image. So I think this will probably be the final image that I grab this afternoon. It's starting to get colder and on and off rain again, so I think I'm going to head home, get dry, get warm, and get something to eat. Well, I hope you enjoyed this hike in the Appalachian Mountains. Thanks as always for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.